What's the difference between good writing and great writing? My subjective take is that good writing is diverting while great writing is haunting. Both must be sensual, but good writing will give me a thrill and then pretty much leave my brain the moment after I've read the last sentence. Whereas great writing will itch at me for years. This generally means the writer has solved one of the hardest narrative problems, injecting the perfect amount of ambiguity into his prose. Too little and it will only be diverting, because without ambiguity, it will answer all its questions, leaving me with none. Too much and I'll be confused, not haunted. Just as too little shuts a door at the end, too much makes me slam the door in bewilderment. I have no idea what to think, so I'm not going to think at all. Even if we all agreed that ambiguity is the key to good versus great, we wouldn't all agree that specific works had the right amount of it. 2001: A Space Odyssey is a classic example. For me, its level of ambiguity is perfect, and drop more and I would have been too baffled to enjoy the experience. With less, it might have been a fun sci-fi flick, but I wouldn't still be thinking about it, nearly 50 years after first seeing it. But I know plenty of people who agree with me that ambiguity is vital to great storytelling, who think the film is too ambiguous and simply find it irritating or boring. Hamlet's famous soliloquy is another example of writing that haunts me. It's full of great images, such as grunting and sweating under a weary life. It contains sonorous language, such as, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. ... But most important to me is its ambiguity. It's not nonsensical. We know what Hamlet is talking about. We know he's trying to decide whether or not to take action against his uncle. But there are so many questions. What does he mean when he lists one of his options as, to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them? The sea of troubles, his uncle and the situation in court, and by taking arms against them, does he mean murder? Or is he talking about suicide? Taking arms against himself and, thus, ending his troubles? Does he imagine that if he takes arms against his uncle, he'll end his troubles by ascending to the throne that is rightfully his? Or does he mean that he'll end them by getting killed in the process? Great writing to me contains prose that evokes sensual experiences for me and which has a level of ambiguity that haunts me for years without having so much ambiguity that it simply becomes nonsense. If you held a gun to my head and forced me to concoct a less personal, more objective, definition of great writing, the best I could do would be to list highly influential books. They would be great in the sense of having great impact. Alternatively, I could list books that sold really well. They'd be great in the sense of having made a great deal of money. Do you want a passage to tell you that the moon is shining, or would you rather see the glint of light on broken glass? Great writing is good writing pushed. That's because great writing rarely happens during the process of writing and almost always happens during the process of rewriting. The same goes for writing that reads effortlessly, because easy reading is damned hard writing. If I can make you see it without coming out and telling you about it directly, I'm pulling triggers in your mind. Great writing is about pulling the triggers in the reader's mind that puts her mind to work for you. One is acceptable, if not a bit cliched, and the other pulled a trigger in your mind that is likely still caterwauling around in your head as you continue to read this. It brought you around to a deeper understanding of the writer's point. One is monochrome, and the other is a sparkler in the dark.